Hey guys, it's Mr. Brewer. Just wanted to get you the information so you could fill out your map for our East Asia unit. So we're going to be talking about East Asia and looking at East Asia as a whole. First thing we're going to have to look at is countries. The biggest country there is China. China is by far the largest country that we'll talk about. It's very important to the history of East Asia as a whole. The second part of this we need to talk about is Taiwan. Taiwan is actually part of China. They see themselves as separate, but the United Nations sees them as the same. So we're going to study them as if they were a part of China. Third country is one where I was pretty familiar with. That is Japan. And fourth one is Mongolia. You'll see Mongolia is directly north of China. Now, these two are a little bit different. North Korea and South Korea. They are on a peninsula, and they are divided by the 38th parallel. The 38th parallel divided the countries at the end of World War II. Communists took hold of the north side, and they were Soviets, and they made the north side communist, and the U.S. helped the south side become democratic. Since then, North Korea is still communist and have suffered through the Cold War and everything else, and leader changes here in the last few months, or a few years, and South Korea is still democratic. Now, I'm going to go ahead and outline my map in green. Whatever color you have will be fine. Outline China and Taiwan. What we're doing that for is so we know when we look at this map that both are green and they're both part of the same one. And you'll see that I wrote down in parentheses down under Taiwan, part of China. We need to know that. We have to know that. Now, moving on to a few natural things. You'll see at the bottom of Mongolia, a purple arrow popped up there. That is the Gobi Desert. That is between Mongolia and China. Need to make sure we get that labeled. And we have another desert here. And I'm not going to pretend I can pronounce that, but make sure you get the spelling right. After deserts, we are going to go to rivers. Our first yellow is the Yangtze River. That is the largest river in China, and it's also going to be home to a interesting landmark that we talk about a little bit later. Another river that goes through Beijing, the capital of China, is the Yellow River. We need to know that one also. After rivers, we need to look at mountains. Now, one important mountain is Mount Fuji. You'll see that a green dot popped up over in Japan. Need to get that labeled. It is really close to Tokyo. Mount Fuji is the highest mountain in Japan. And a second set of mountain ranges over by the desert that we shall not pronounce are the Pamir Mountains. And if you'll remember, the Silk Road went through the Pamir Mountains, and it was one of the problems with the Silk Road. It was one of the treacherous parts of the journey. So the last thing we need to do on this map is going to be our Pacific Ocean. And you'll notice that Taiwan, Japan, they all sit in the Pacific Ocean, and China actually comes up next to the Pacific Ocean also. So if we're talking about anything in East Asia, we're probably talking Pacific Ocean. And that is where we are. Now at this point, what you're going to do is you're going to take your map, you're going to put it in your transparency on one side, and we're going to continue labeling. I'm going to come up to a new one here. Yours is going to stay the same. You're just going to slide yours inside of a transparency and have something blank to write on. You'll write on that with a Sharpie. So here we go. Mine's going to be blank, and here is my first thing I'm going to write on there. These are going to be cities. First one I put right there should be next to Mount Fuji. That is Tokyo. Tokyo is the capital of Japan. Our second city we're going to put is Beijing. You'll see that it sits pretty close to the Yellow River. And it's kind of an interesting spelling. It's Beijing. It's one of those that's kind of tricky to me, but we need to make sure we know how to spell that. That is the capital of China. One of the most important ports in the whole world is Hong Kong. More stuff moves through that than any other port in the world. And then, of course, Taipei is the capital of Taiwan. And we talked about at the end of I believe it was video 2, that China is the People's Republic of China, and Taiwan they renamed it the Republic of China. and we'll get into that a little bit more later. But realize that as far as we're concerned, we drew around it with the color that both Taiwan and China are the same country as far as we're concerned. Looking at some things that you already have, you'll have your rivers on there, so I'm going to draw my river in, and then I'm going to label this right here, and you'll notice that this set's kind of between Hong Kong to the left of it and up, or down, and Beijing will be up and to the right of it, kind of in the middle of those, on the Yangtze River. Is the Three Gorges Dam. That is a man-made power plant, and that produces a lot of electricity for China. The last thing we're going to put on our map is the Great Wall of China. If you'll notice, it does butt up kind of close to, it goes north of Beijing and kind of goes along the border of Mongolia. If you remember our discussions before, Mongolians were trying to invade China during this time, and it did happen quite often, and our first Emperor Qin actually reunited all the territories' walls and gave us the Great Wall of China that we have today. So I hope that you have everything already labeled. If you didn't get something, go back, check it, make sure you have the proper spellings. There is basically a word bank on the back of your map. It has the proper spellings. Make sure you have those. When you do a map quest, you have to have them. Alright guys, thanks.